All right, today we're going to do something a little different. We're taking a trip back in time to dig up some timeless wisdom from a place you probably wouldn't expect. And you know what? It feels more relevant now than ever. And our guide for this journey? It's a book called Practical Mechanics for Boys, published all the way back in 1914. Just think about that. Over a century ago, with the world on the edge of massive change, the workshop was this amazing place of innovation and pure skill. Right from the get-go, the author, J.S. Zerbe, he lays out his mission. And I love this. It's to make work both pleasant as well as profitable. This isn't just a dusty old textbook. No way. It's a guide to finding real, deep satisfaction in the things you create. So first up, let's dive into the book's core philosophy. Because before you even touch a single tool, you've got to have the right mindset. That's everything. And here it is, the big idea right up front. A true workman is a thinker. Zerbe is saying that a real mechanic isn't just someone who follows instructions. They're an innovator, always looking for a smarter, better, more efficient way to get things done. It's all about that blend of brainpower and hands-on skill. The book kicks off by drawing this really interesting comparison between the European apprentice system, which was all about just putting in the time, and the American ideal, which was all about merit. The idea was, hey, if you could master a skill in 1 year that took someone else 3, you moved up. It wasn't about the clock. It was about your skill, your efficiency, and your ability to think on your feet. Okay, so now that we've got the mindset down, let's step into the workshop itself. In here, tools aren't just inanimate objects, they're your partners in creation. First thing you see is the workbench. The book calls it the mechanic's fort, and I just love that. It's your home base. It's the solid foundation where every single project begins. But here's the thing. According to the author, everything in that shop, every hammer, every drill, every saw, it all revolves around one particular tool. And that tool? It's the engine lathe, the king of all tools. Its ability to do so many different things is just incredible. Turning, drilling, shaping metal with amazing precision. The book makes a huge point about not cheaping out on quality here, especially the bearings. This is an investment that pays for itself over and over again. All right, so you've got the mindset, you've got the king of all tools. Now comes the real test, mastering the fundamental skills that really separate the amateurs from the true mechanics. Think about this, even something that sounds as simple as sharpening a tool bit. It's not simple at all. You have to know your materials inside and out. The angle you grind for tough wrought iron is totally different than the one you'd use for brittle cast iron. A true artisan knows the why behind the how. But what's the real challenge, the ultimate test of a mechanic back then? Forget all the fancy machines. It was the humble file. Being able to create a perfectly, absolutely flat surface of metal with just a file, that was considered the pinnacle of skill, the highest art. And just look at this process. This really shows you the kind of patience we're talking about. To turn a square bar into a perfect cylinder, you don't just hack away at it, nope. First, you file it into an octagon, then a 16-sided shape. And you keep going, slowly and meticulously, until it's perfectly round. That takes an incredible amount of control. So, once you've mastered these foundational skills, something really cool happens. It unlocks a totally new level of understanding about how the physical world works. This is what turns a mechanic into a true artisan. See, a master doesn't just use steel. They understand it. They know its properties, like its tenacity, basically how much it resists being pulled apart. Knowing that steel has high tenacity and low tenacity isn't just trivia. It's essential knowledge that informs every single cut and every decision you make. And when you have that deep knowledge, you can come up with some seriously ingenious solutions. Check this out. The wobble saw. It's so clever. By mounting a saw blade at a tiny angle, it literally wobbles as it spins, carving out a groove that's wider than the blade itself. It's a beautifully simple fix for a common problem. These aren't just neat tricks. They're proof of real, creative problem solving. And all of this, it leads us to our final and maybe most important lesson. What it means to have the master's mindset, something that's forged through all this practice and learning. This mindset, it's all built on a foundation of order and efficiency. Something as simple as always putting a tool back where it belongs, that's not just about being tidy. It's about creating a smooth workflow, reducing friction so your mind can stay focused and get into what we'd now call a flow state. You're completely absorbed in the work. And here's the beautiful part. The ultimate reward, it isn't even the finished object. It's achieving a state of mastery, where work that was once incredibly difficult becomes easy. And in that ease, that's where you find a deep, lasting satisfaction. It's that amazing feeling you get from applying a skill you worked so hard to build. So, this book from over 100 years ago leaves us with a really big question for today, for our world of instant everything. In an age where we can get anything with a click, what's the value to us, to our sense of self, of doing a job slowly, carefully, and perfectly? It's something to think about.